exactly, and that's when the current president got COVID. He threw it underneath the bus, like, "Oh, I'm going to win. I'm going to beat this. They're going to give me this. They're going to give me that. They're going to treat me this, treat me that way." I've lost friends from COVID, and the worst populated New York City's lost over thousands of people due to this virus.
Yeah, the state of Tennessee lost tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands, because of this. And I got relatives who got COVID.
It's just a lot of people. He tried to fool a lot of people, saying this ain't a bad virus. It is a very bad virus.
And he's not letting the CDC do its job.
After they have surgeries and making sure their families doesn't come up and see him. It's a very bad deal. And because I just had surgery back in July, and my wife we had to go through COVID testing to make sure we didn't have it. She couldn't be in the room with me after my surgery, so she had to sit out in the waiting room forever until I got out of recovery to go home.
Yeah.
And people just throw it underneath the rug. It's just a virus. People get over it. It's not. It's affecting it. And
knowing that people who have respiratory problems, the elderly, babies, knowing they can get it. And I fall into the category of adults with a respiratory problem. So I made sure I went and got tested. Not just for my sake, but for the sake of my own family, to make sure I don't have it. And thank goodness I didn't have it.
Yeah, a guy who, his girlfriend just gave birth to a healthy baby, I want to say about a month ago. He works a very demanding job, and he's a football owner. And somebody came to his game and affected 3 of his players, and he ended up getting it last week. And so he had a quarantine in a hotel room for 2 weeks he's still in quarantine. He's quarantined himself into a hotel room away from his girlfriend and his newborn baby. And now the little baby has to go get tested because he was around the baby last week. And that's pretty rough on a little newborn baby getting tested. Mm-hmm. So, I just think that, a lot of, and I know this is a football show, but I just think a lot of people understand that this stuff affects how we live in the world today.
Yeah.
And how we produce a sports football team or any sports franchises. How we live in this world is predicted by this virus, and people just don't understand that. Now people think
that's true enough. And speaking of it, many professional football players, even basketball players, wound up with COVID.
Yeah.
And just hours ago this morning, the Tennessee Titans and the New England Patriots have all been cleared with no more positive tests.
The Kansas City Chiefs, our local sports franchise, their strength and conditioning coach just got it.
Yeah, that much I know.
And then they're supposed to play tomorrow against the Las Vegas Raiders, and that game could be in jeopardy. Actually,
the only person who the strength and conditioning coach caught it, but because a week ago was the backup QB from the practice squad who caught it.
Yep.
And it was during their game, the game they played against Baltimore, I do believe. Because the Titans around week 3 was in Minnesota. And that's when about 8 people had it. And 4 of them were players. The other 4 were on the personnel. And then it went up. And then that was when the week 4 game was postponed. And that was the game against Pittsburgh. And just last week, the Titans, some of the Titans players were seen on the campus of Montgomery Bell Academy, and I'm pretty sure most people saw that on the news, that several players, including quarterback Ryan Tannehill, were spotted there playing.
Yeah, and, they just came out Tuesday or Wednesday. Stephon Gilmore for the Patriots, he said that he had a positive case of COVID.
Yeah.
So, Patrick Mahomes did a handshake with him after the end of the game, and now he's been quarantined in his house for the last couple of days, staying away from his pregnant girlfriend. But I just think I think a lot of things will happen after the first of the year, and I believe that hopefully sports can bring people back together and unite people together, because with all the killings that's happening across the United States, all the shootings and all that, I think sports is going to come unite everybody together.
Yeah,
and I think
because many people have picked up what Colin Kaepernick was trying to say all along. It was never about the flag. It was about the police brutality and racial injustice that everybody's been suffering from, including the people of color. But everybody thinks they're disrespecting the military. That's not the case. And Trump is feeding this to him. He has been since his presidency started.
And that's what's hurt to make everybody to reunite in sports, is because they're listening to one guy in his political game saying that he's doing this, he's doing that.
Yeah, but here's
why we're having this police brutality stuff. This is why we're having these movements, these protests across the United States, to make sure that people understand that every life matters. And I agree that the Black Lives Matters movement is what we need, and we need to make sure that everybody understands that every life matters in this world. And I believe Donald Trump has done the opposite of telling people.
Yeah, he actually did. Because what he did was commit an impeachable offense on himself. There is something in the United States law. There's the United States Title Code, Chapter 18, Section 327, that the member of the executive branch, i.e. the president, has no authority over sports organizations. In other words, he can't tell the NFL, the NBA, the WNBA, Major League Soccer, Major League Baseball, hockey, NASCAR, and even more cases, even professional wrestlers and mixed martial artists, what to do. It's not his job.
Exactly. That's.
And if he would have read further along, it would have gotten him 15 years in prison.
Speaking of professional wrestlers, that's used to what I used to do for a living. I did it for 20 years, and I have friends that still do it to this day. I have friends that work in the WWE, AEW, TNA wrestling, and how he predicted everybody to be for wrestling has really diminished and hurt the business that I grew up in.
Yeah.
And it hurt, and it hurts to know that this guy is trying to predict the life and future of our great nation.
And this great nation is still been torn to pieces. The thing is, and I think I brought this up in the last couple of podcasts a couple of weeks ago, that the current administration just doesn't care. And many people who are voted for him are now starting to regret doing so. Because he ain't delivered on none of his campaign promises. None.
And if we could go back 8 years ago to Obama's administration, and I'm not tooting his own horn, but I believe Obama, the Bushes, have done something correctly to make sure that we live in a safe, a sovereign nation. And now since we got Mr. President Trump in, I believe that he only cares about what he wants to do on his agenda.
Yeah. So far, he's tried to set the president back 50 years. He tried to undo what the Obama and the Bushes had done.
That's right.
And the work started. I had read on an online article that the Taliban hopes that Trump wins his re-election. I doubt it.
I doubt he wins it because, there's 1.5 to 6 million people in the United States. It doesn't have health insurance. And my wife is one of them don't have health insurance. And, if he signs the executive order of Trump care, nobody's going to be able to afford health insurance in the United States anymore.
No. He's already tried to do that now. He's trying to get rid of Obamacare.
And if he tries to get rid of Obamacare, there's going to be a lot of people suffering, especially the people who's overweight, the people who needs medicine, people who's dying. They're not going to be able to afford life insurance. They're not going to be able to afford health care insurance to go to the doctors. Mm-hmm. But when you're a billionaire, you have the luxury of lifestyle. But there's
another problem. But there is another problem. There is a major reason why Trump hasn't shown his tax returns, as he's ordered to by the Supreme Court. Trump has no money. He was tied in a lawsuit for a fraudulent college he did. He owes the government $241 million for that fraudulent college he started.
Yeah.
That and the fact that he has a personal grudge against the NFL in the first place. Now, what most people don't know, that Trump, back in 1976, tried to sue the NFL to change his name to the United States Football League. He tried to sue the NFL for $1.72.
Oh, wow.
Not only did the judge throw out his lawsuit, but because Trump wasted their time, they tacked $2 additional in the NFL's favor. Trump had to pay $3.72 to the NFL for not only wasting their time for it, but for the crap that he did. Try to sue him because, one, they don't want him. They didn't want Trump to be an owner in the NFL in the first place.
That's right.
But now you got people like Jerry Jones going on what Trump said, and he's paying for it. Which is why the Cowboys season is now suffering for the second time in a row.
Yep.
I
agree.
Yeah. And there's another prediction. Mike Dick, who now owns the Chicago Bliss, because he wants to piggyback and echo what Trump said, there's going to be a small, sad prediction about the Chicago Bliss season. That they're going to suffer just like the Cowboys are suffering right now. And Brian Urlacher...
I hate to cut it short, but I have to get back to work here in a minute.
Okay.
So that's why I couldn't be on video because of being at work.
Yeah, I'm just recording this on a podcasting app, so it's going to be uploaded on Spotify later.
If we can continue and I have the next couple weeks off.
Okay.
If we can continue the next couple weeks, that'd be great.
All right, we can do that. Well, folks,
I appreciate it.
No problem, folks. That's going to be all for today.
Welcome to the league.
Yeah, come back in a couple of weeks. We'll have a part 2 of my interview with Mr. Sean Smith. And until then, this is Joshua Fitzgerald signing off for the Gridiron Power Hour, and I'll see you next time.